Alrighty, sounds good.
Hello. Welcome to everybody who is joining us today on Zoom and to those who are catching us on the replay on YouTube. I'm Laurie E. Smith. I am the social media host for the Winnipeg and 23 Worldcon bid. And today's Zoom social is going to be featuring some guests from our local furry community. Well, not just our local furry community, but hopefully Munchkin will be able to join us, who is from Saskatchewan. He's been trying to join us, but his connection keeps dropping. We have Larissa, who is from, I believe, Larissa and Toasty, Justin, are both from the Manitoba furry community. And so, I'd like to start out by basically asking our furry guests to introduce themselves in a sentence or two, to just kind of, let us know where you're coming from and where you're at. Larissa, would you mind starting off?
I'm Larissa, and I really like foxes, so my character is a fox.
I'm afraid you're going to have to either speak up or move the head, Larissa. You're just a little bit dulled, a little bit muted.
I am Larissa, and my character is a fox, and I like foxes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, holding the mouth open helps a lot. Awesome, thank you. Toasty, how about you?
Yes, hi guys. So Justin or Toasty, my character is a snow leopard. Huge fan of snow leopards. I'm in Shiloh, Manitoba. I'm from Ontario, Canada. I'm actually in the military, so I'm posted to Shiloh right now, leaving soon, but continuing on with some community service and fursuiting events on base. Actually, I've been called upon the military a few times to participate in a few events for the kids, and it's really fun. Nice to see that they've kind of accepted it, and I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. My furry name is Arya Crow. My character is a crow. But I also have a couple of other fursonas, one of which is an opossum, one of which is an anole, flying fish hybrid. So I've got a couple of different things going on. And I just joined furry fandom after going to my first Wild Prairie Furcon here in Winnipeg, the first Wild Prairie Furcon in Winnipeg, in August of 2018. Prior to going to that convention, I didn't know much about furry fandom at all. Basically, I went because I just wanted to support a new event. I walked in, I figured I'd pick up my membership badge and I'd be there for like 10 minutes feeling really awkward because I don't know anybody. And then my social anxiety would kick in and I'd run out the door. And instead I walked in and immediately two people in full fursuits walked past me going, "Hi, Laurie, how's it going?" And I'm like, "Hello, I don't know who you are." Because I can't recognize you. But within like 15 minutes, I made like 10 new friends, and I ended up staying till well after midnight that day, just hanging around and having a great time. The people were so warm, so friendly. I remember Toasty in particular was really welcoming. Great ambassador for the convention. And so what I'd like to do to start out, with Janny's permission, is I'd like to show a little 1-minute video I prepared for Wild Prairie Furcon. And then after that, I'd like to ask our furry guests how they would describe or explain the term furry to those unfamiliar with the concept. But first, Janny, am I able to share video? It looks like
yes, you are.
Okay, let me optimize. This is only a 1-minute video, so it won't take very long. Can everybody see the Wild Prairie Furcon logo?
Yep.
Oh. Okay, please let me know if there's any problem with the audio at any point, and away we go. And again, Janny, you do have permission to record this part.
Furry. What does that word mean, really? When I walked into the first Wild Prairie Furcon in August of 2018 here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, I honestly had no idea. I figured that I'd pick up my badge, hang around for 10 minutes feeling invisible and awkward because I didn't know anybody, then my social anxiety would kick in and I'd head back home again. Instead, I found myself being not only seen, but welcomed by an amazing group of folks whose warmth, playfulness, and strong sense of community totally won me over. The first word I learned to associate with them was fun. And another word came soon after. Friendliness. What is furry? Let's find out.
So there we go. that was my Wild Prairie FurCon introduction. And Larissa was in that video. I've completely forgotten, but awesome. Great shot. As I say, I guess the next question is, how would you as furries describe the term furry to somebody who doesn't understand it or is completely unfamiliar with the concept? This time, Toasty, would you mind starting? And then Larissa will go to you.
Of course. So, I mean, the way I look at it, like, you see these people out there that like Star Trek and they call them Trekkies. It's no different than that there. You like something, you're involved in a community, you share art, you share interests. So the similarities here is it's like, yeah, we like characters that have fur. Okay, there are some like characters that don't have fur, like, you know, scales and stuff, but you like furred creatures, therefore you are a furry. And it can be as much as you just like looking at art, you like reading stories, you like listening to furry made music. You don't have to have a fursuit, you don't have to have a fursona, you don't have to have anything. Much like if you were a Trekkie, you don't have to have a whole vast knowledge of experience, but if you yourself identify as a Trekkie, you're a Trekkie. So me, I'm a furry, I'm a furry. Doesn't matter what you have, what you know, what you like. If you're part of the community, you're a furry.
Thank you very much, Toasty. Larissa, what would you have to say if somebody said, well, what's a furry? Can you explain it to me?
I'd say that probably it's people who like to dress up like big cartoon animals and hang out and have fun, make new friends, and some of them grew up watching Disney cartoons, so that was their first experience with animals that talked. And not every one of them has a fursuit. It's okay if you don't have a fursuit. It's just all that matters is that you like animals and that you have fun.
Yeah, fun, as I said in the video, fun for me was a really big part of what I picked up on, was just the sense of playfulness and the sense of happiness that was in the community. To me, furry is very much tied up with creativity. Some people express that creativity through art, others express it through making or wearing their fursuits, others express it through writing or through dancing. Dancing is a big part of the furry community, I've discovered, and I've encountered some amazing dancers in the furry community. Strobes is my current favorite, and Beta Monkey, two very great dancers. But basically, to me is the big like equal sign, is that furry equals creativity. And I found in some ways more creativity in the furry fandom than I found in other fandoms, because other fandoms in a sense have like this canon that they rely on, like Star Trek has the Star Trek episode, Star Wars has the Star Wars movies. Whereas with furry, it's much more you're creating the canon. You're the creator. And that is to me a very important part of it. I'd like to ask our furry guest too a little bit about furry activities in the province of Manitoba. Larissa, let's start with you this time. Do you know, like, what activities do you know of that are happening in Manitoba in terms of the furry community?
Like sometimes people go on like fur walks and they meet at people's houses and have parties and stuff.
Yep. And how about you, Toasty? You're muted, Toasty.
There we go. Sorry about that. My voice was being weird. So a lot of events that I've done personally myself can be anything from just meeting up for coffee at Tim Hortons. I mean, there's been many times where I've traveled to Winnipeg while doing something for the military, and I've got a little bit of time. So I meet up with some of the furries, have a coffee, things such as going to Portage La Prairie. We have a game developer who's actually in the furry community. If you've ever heard of Winds of Change, a great game, by the way. If you're curious as to like the stuff that furries do, Google up Winds of Change. It just hit Switch, which was a big thing for the gentleman who did it. But we'd meet up at his place for, Friday night into Saturday morning. We'd play board games, we'd play video games, just chat. Then there's the cons. There's fishing meets. I mean, myself and another furry are actually meeting up tomorrow to go fishing. It's just regular activities that you do with fellow community members. Anything from like I said, coffee all the way up to a convention, to having a beer with, your fellow furries, or there's so many different activities. You're not limited to furry specific activities. Like if you want to go bowling and you want to do it in fursuit, cool, all the power to you. If you want to show up to one of those meets and be dressed like this, which, I mean, that's where I started. I didn't have a fursuit or anything. I just joined up an event, and I had a blast. And it was so cool to see, so many people in the bowling alley too. They're just like, who are these people? And people coming over and asking questions. So the events that you can do, you're not limited. What you can do is, for lack of a better term, as a civilian, you can do as a furry. You can do anything. There's just no limit whatsoever as to what you can do for furry events.
Yeah. And of course, there's also things like, there's also the solitary activities, like, designing fursuits, creating fursuits. Larissa, did you make your fursuit, or was it made for you by someone else?
It was made for me.
Which maker did the fursuit?
I think Kat did it.
Oh, okay. Because it's really nice. And Toasty, it is. It's really great. Toasty, did you make your own fursuit?
No, so I honestly don't really have a lot of artistic abilities or anything. So I actually hired a local friend of mine that I met. I can't remember how I met her. It was just through the local community, and one day we got to chatting. Onyx Angel Creations, and quite a bit of money, but definitely worth it for the amount of fun that I had. I know a lot of folks, like Michelle, for example, who just joined, who actually Michelle. Dabble in this stuff and do it, and it's amazing. But no, I paid someone. I would like to try my hand at it sometime, but no, Toasty was made by a friend in the community, and I'll actually go grab my head in a few minutes here.
Yes, please, because Toasty's head is awesome.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll step away while you guys have a conversation.
Speaking of awesome heads, hello, Michelle.
Hello, it's wonderful to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing just fine. I had a very fun night last night. But I was a little worried about being able to make it to this, but I am very glad that I ended up making it.
I asked people before you arrived to kind of introduce themselves in a couple of sentences. Would you mind?
Hi, I'm Sierra the Lion, or you can call me Michelle. I am I am not at all new to the furry community. I've been in this for a while, mostly in the closet. However, recently, ever since I got into making fursuits, I decided to indulge a little bit more into the community, especially the local community.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's I remember seeing you, Sierra, at my first Wild Prairie Furcon, and I was just so blown away. and then I saw you next to Icon, I think it was, and I was again blown away. Just amazing. And Toasty now has the Toasty head, which is I love how you were pulling the paws out of the mouth. Yeah. It looked a little bit surreal there.
Yeah, so no, that's Toasty. That was made by Onyx Angel Creations. He's got whiskers. A lot of his his little dots here are airbrushed on, all handmade. I have a full suit, and every single rosette was painstakingly hand sewn onto the suit. I've got a 6-foot-long tail with a squeaker on the tip. You can get so creative with these. I think Michelle had moving ears on her fursuit head. I don't know if you still do or not, but
those are a work in progress.
Yeah, and it's crazy the amount of things that artists can do. I know guys that have $10,000 suits that have cooling systems in it, water cooling systems. Anything, because these suits get really hot. For anyone here who's not familiar with these suits, I get into my suit, and within 10 minutes, I'm already drenched in sweat. So it's it's definitely not an easy thing to do wearing a fursuit.
Actually, this is a perfect opportunity for me to show one more short video. How many people here have seen Isabella the Unicorn? I have. Yep. Oh, Toasty, you're gonna love this. Do you mind if I play this right now, Janny?
Not at all. Hit the pause.
Okay, she's going to hit pause on the recording on this because I'm not sure about intellectual property rights on this. But let me do a
unique and final act. It's an exhibition act, and it is Wolf Gem and Isabella the Unicorn.
start recording, Maddie. There we go. So that is an example of a quad suit, which must take incredible upper body strength. I cannot even begin to imagine the upper body strength it must take. And that is a system that's a suit that has to have a cooling system built in. It simply has to, because that's just such a tremendous amount of physical effort. And that, I figure, Sierra and Toasty, I figure that must be what, a 10 to 15,000 at least.
I would probably say so. I don't know prices. I think Sierra would know a little better than me.
Surprisingly, no. I don't actually I'm not very good with quad suit pricing, but I do know that they are very pricey. And I would say that 10 to 15,000 does probably hit the nail on the head for price.
What do you, Larissa, do you know anything about quad suit pricing? Does 10 to 15 sound about right?
Yeah, though some I've seen go for 24,000.
Oh, ow. But it's worth it for the dramatic effect. I mean, that is just such an amazing outfit. But that just shows you, I mean, a fursuit can be anything. I mean, I just went around at the last Wild Prairie FurCon just wearing these little fox ears, which I got from a dealer at Icon, Icon is our local Japanese fan culture expo. And the guy charged me only $5 for the set of ears. And I immediately said, these should be at least 15 or 20. And all the dealers on either side of him and the dealer across the aisle from him all immediately perked up their ears and said, we keep telling him that. He has to increase his prices, but I got them for $5. So I'm happy. So, I mean, you can do anything from wearing little ears to wearing a little, I was thinking about buying a tail at the last Wild Prairie FurCon, and the dealer with the tails was saying, oh, it's a gateway. That's the gateway drug. You buy a tail first. And then you buy the head, and then you buy the paws, and the next thing you know, you have a whole fursuit. So yeah, it can be a gateway drug, but you can do something as simple as like painting little whiskers on your face, or just wearing a little mask. It's as Toasty was saying, it's very much, the degree to which you want to be involved.
It's what you make of it, really. Like, you can wear absolutely nothing. You're still a furry. You could have a pin with a pride flag on it. You're still a furry. You join the community. You're participating in the events. You're a furry. You want to go and buy a $20 head from Walmart? You're a furry.
Or Spirit Halloween, which has quite a number of good $20 heads around Halloween time. I
mean, you want to make your own thing. Even if you're using scrap foam, scrap construction paper, you tried. And that's all that matters. Mm-hmm. If you try, that even if you don't try, you're still a furry. It doesn't matter. It's like, it doesn't matter.
Yep, that's just it. I mean, I know one thing, when I went to the first Wild Prairie FurCon in 2018, one of the questions I was asking people, because I said, look, I have to say, I don't know much about this. Why do you do this? Why do you dress up like this? What is the reason? And quite a few of them actually said pretty much the same thing. They said, when I am not in the fursuit or I'm not wearing the ears or the tail, I have social anxiety. I'm depressed, I cannot freely express myself as the gender that I want to be. So, but as soon as I put on the ears or the tail or the fursuit, I feel like I can be myself. Like, okay, I'm in a male body, but I can have a female fursona, which feels more like who I am. And the fursuit and all of the accoutrements help me to be more the best person I can be. And I thought, oh, here's Mike again, or Munchkin. Hello, Munchkin. I hope you can stay this time. Oh, and there's Toasty's tail, which has little hearts on it, which I think are so cute.
Give me 2 seconds here. So my tail is pretty long. I'm about 5'11", and I mean, from the floor, it comes up to about my shoulder. And I don't know if you'll be able to hear this or not, but
hey,
it's got a
we hear it.
Yeah.
And the little hearts. I love the little hearts.
And
not so little hearts.
When you're building your character, you put stuff into it that defines you as a person. I was born on Valentine's Day, so when I made Toasty, I had a bunch of hearts added to signify the fact that I am a Valentine's baby. So Toasty has hearts going down his back. My military service, you can't really tell it because it's a little used up, but you'll notice that the tail stripe kind of has a V. For
Like
those
a
that are
chevron.
familiar, yeah, for those that are familiar with military ranks, it's a chevron. So that's kind of like the shout out to my military service. I'm still serving. Unfortunately, I'm getting out due to a medical release, but you can add anything you want to your persona to make it yours. If you absolutely love cookies, you want to add some chocolate chips to your first, not real chocolate chips, of course, but anything you want to put into your character is your decision, as long as, of course, it's appropriate. But no one can tell you how to make your character. If you want to make a lion with long brown hair, you want to make a snow leopard that likes avocados and hates snow, that's your call.
Yeah. And you can make up whatever story you want to go. Some people also find a very spiritual dimension to furry. I have a very spiritual dimension to my furry practice because crows to me are a kind of a Patronus. So when I'm working as Arya Crow, I'm kind of tapping into the Patronus. So to me, that's the spiritual definition. And darn it, we just keep losing Munchkin. We actually had video there for a while, and now he's gone.
Oh.
I think he's at the cottage right now, and I know that he said that his internet wasn't the greatest, so that's probably the issue he's having.
That could be.
Advise him to actually, I would advise him to actually, hear me? Yeah. I would advise him to actually call in instead.
To call in instead? I'm not even sure how that works. Does anyone here know how that works?
Usually there's
Yeah,
a phone
I
number
do.
you can
It's
call.
basically that Zoom has a phone number that he can call, but I don't know if the Canadian numbers are going to be anywhere where he's at.
Yeah,
But
that's entirely possible.
the other question is, how do we get that information to him?
He's in the chat. I'm in the chat room with him, like on Facebook.
Okay, I'll put it in the chat, and
No
then you can
video,
convey
what I
the
tried,
information to
but-
him.
Okay, I'll do that. But yeah, so there's all these different dimensions to furrydom. And people can make up. I mean, I know Sierra, you have a tremendous backstory for your character.
Yeah, kind of. I originally made this suit for Larp purposes. This suit actually has only hair covering the back of my head so that it kind of helps keep me cool outdoors in the 35-degree heat. But I also get to stay fully immersed in character. Basically, my little lion is an alchemist, and I do alchemy and make potions at Larp games with my friends.
So there's an intersection there between the furry and the LARP.
Yes.
For those who don't know, LARP is live action roleplay, which is quite big here in Winnipeg. The only group I know in Winnipeg personally are the Vampire the Masquerade LARPers.
Mm-hmm.
But
the Vampire Masquerade LARPers, sorry to interrupt you, Larry.
no, go right ahead.
Okay. Basically, they also run one of the other longest running LARP groups in the city, which is called Havoc World of Vithan. And from there, I think they also recently branched off into another LARP group called Etherworld. And recently, we also have another LARP group that is run by Underworld Global that has started up very recently. Things are still up in the air and in the works, but Underworld is actually a worldwide run group, very similar to Amped Guard. However, they are more role-play oriented, whereas Amped Guard would be combat based.
Yeah, but Amped Guard also does, they have like a kind of a barony now, don't they? Where they also have, let me just give a quick message to Mike here. Mike, you can try calling in. Okay, there, sent him the numbers. But Amped Guard also has kind of like a barony thing, right? Where basically they have like arts and crafts and they have costuming and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's a very big thing.
Yeah, because I went to one of the Amped Guard events actually one year as a judge for their winter solstice celebration.
Oh, very nice.
And the dancing and the singing during the dinner were just amazing.
Yeah.
How long has the Vampire LARP been running?
I believe that the Vampire the Masquerade LARP has been going for over 20 years now. However, they had recently put a pause on it due to COVID and everything like that. All LARPs have basically been put on hold because of that. However, I am aware that some are starting up with a very, very minimal activity at the moment, mostly like over like a Discord and such, and things like that for roleplay purposes. And I believe they are looking to start opening up again outdoors, obviously, when gathering groups are allowed in larger quantities.
Yeah, one of the things I would like to talk about over the course of this furry conversation is what would make Winnipeg a good city for the World Science Fiction Convention. And obviously, to me, one of the things that would make it a good city is the fact that they do have active LARP communities.
Oh yeah, multiple active LARP communities.
Exactly.
We have sort of more under the table sci-fi LARP. We have Vampire the Masquerade, and then we have at least 4 fantasy and combat-based, like medieval fantasy and combat-based LARP groups that revolve around storytelling and role-playing and combat, and and multiple of them include both PvP and PvE elements.
What are PvP and PvE?
PvP would be like player versus player, so like skirmishes or like war-based combat but against like other people. And then PvE would be players versus enemies, where people would dress up or volunteer to be monsters, and the players get to attack them and beat them up, obviously all in good fun, with some restraint had.
And foam weapons, I'm sure.
Yes, foam weapons, definitely. All weapons are very, very carefully inspected before game and after game, just to make sure that everything is all within safety regulations.
So that is something too that if people come to Winnipeg for the World Science Fiction Convention, that is a possibility, Terry, I would imagine, too, is maybe set up some LARP activities with some of the local groups.
Oh, so Underworld would definitely be up for that. They actually have a YouTube channel as well, a worldwide YouTube channel, and they have been attending other conventions in the past.
Okay, but I'm also thinking too that maybe the local Vampire the Masquerade community might be willing to run a special event, because they did that for KeyCon a couple of years.
Oh yeah,
where they ran like a special KeyCon like isolated event, and it was very successful. People had a lot of fun.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah, and it was really super, and it took a lot of work, but it turned out amazingly. And so I'm really thinking that something like that would make Winnipeg as a Worldcon city very attractive for some people. Hey, I can come to Winnipeg, and during the weekend maybe I can do this LARP thing during the weekend too. Maybe they've never tried LARP before, and this is just a good opportunity for them to do it. Something like that.
Oh, definitely.
Toasty. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, if I may just jump in. Yep. Sorry, I just want to jump in real quick. So I was just looking at the chat, and I know Janny asked a question. So my tail's actually called a floor dragger. It secures to my belt through a hole in the back of the suit that I can actually access my belt. And it just drags on the floor, and then I just clean it with Shout. Usually there's a bandana at the bottom of it to keep it clean. So sorry about that. I just wanted to answer that question.
Sierra, please continue.
Okay, where was I going with this?
Sorry.
LARPing.
No, it's all good, Toasty. Don't apologize. LARPing, and I guess the conventions hosting LARP events. I've seen that they have been very popular in the past with other conventions around the world, and they are a very good way to kind of let people both exercise meeting other nerds in a nice, safe space. Especially if you are wanting to get into LARPing, it can be a very
kind of intimidating.
It can be a very nerve-wracking event the first time, especially if like you're not used to costuming, or you may not have the best costuming skills, or you can't always afford a costume. Usually those are some big things, other than just the general anxiety that comes with attending a large event. I found that the smaller LARP events at conventions are very successful because you're already at a convention, you're already surrounded by nerds, you know that everybody there is like probably in the same boat as you. It usually goes very smoothly and is a very welcoming experience for everybody.
I know at KeyCon Light, which is the February event that KeyCon holds, which is just like a one-day Saturday event. During the evening, they have a social, but they also have like a side room for programming, and they ran a little Vampire the Masquerade LARP event that only lasted like 3 hours. And it was so awesome. I went to that one, and it was great. As furries, what kind of stuff would you see furries doing at a Worldcon? You know, what like what kind of programming, you know, maybe like LARP type events, that kind of thing? Maybe costuming stuff too?
I think costuming would be a very big one, especially since like being a furry is a very expensive hobby. And normally some people, I would assume, can't quite get the feel all the time with just like a pair of ears and a tail. Sometimes takes a little bit more of a push, and obviously not everybody can afford to have like a very nice fursuit right off the bat. So I think that costuming would be a very good way of introducing people in a nice environment.
Yeah, and as Toasty was just doing, I mean, there are some things that are not that difficult to make if you have somebody to kind of instruct you.
Yeah.
And if you have the parts there. Right? So maybe a hot glue gun and some fake fur and some little pads, somebody could make themselves a little pair of paws or something. Or a plushie, right? You know, that would be really cool at a Worldcon. You know, take like a 2 or 3 hour stretch and just do a furry costuming thing where you could make, I mean, a pair of ears like this is not that hard to make. You know, or even a little tail. You know, just one of those little ones.
Yeah.
You know, and basically stuff that you could do with a glue gun, you know, and maybe a few sewing stitches and that kind of thing. Yeah, like that. Exactly. That's exactly the kind of tail I'm thinking of. And you have like, yeah, and you have like a little loop at the back, and then you can attach it to your belt and walk out of the workshop with it. You know, it would just be a matter of, you know, maybe the local furry communities could, you know, do a couple of fundraisers, you know, raise a little bit of cash to buy supplies, you know, and then, you know, could do that at the Worldcon. I think that would be a really cool thing to have happen there, because I know people like me, you know, it took me the better part of 2.5 years to go, okay, for the longest time, I think Toasty was the person who called me the nice lady who is a furry but is not a furry.
Yeah, that was me. I remember because you were doing tarot cards. So Lori was doing tarot cards, and she reached out to a few of us, and I'm known in the community. And so I know some people, and I can approach people because they think I'm pretty friendly. So Lori had me reach out to an artist, and I'm like, yeah, it's the really nice lady who is a furry, but isn't a furry, but is, but isn't. And, you know, when you say that, and they're like, oh, do you mean the lady with the glasses? I'm like, oh, yeah. 100% feel free to use my fursuit picture or my art or whatever. And
yes, people have been marvelous.
Yeah. Exactly. And I mean, I still remember the first con that you came to, and everyone's like, hey, who's that? Like, is she a furry or is she not a furry? And we're just like, who cares? Who cares? She's here. Who cares if she identifies as a furry or if she's just checking it out? Because you don't push people to accept something. You just let them have their reign of freedom, check it out, and get comfortable with it. And that's all you can do. And
exactly.
Now you're known as the nice lady.
The nice lady who is a furry but isn't a furry, but now actually is a furry. So that's 3 things. What is a furry, isn't a furry, but now actually is a furry. So, but no, that's, as I say, you know, the friendliness of the community really, really impressed me. And I think that for a Worldcon setting, oh, little plushie. Oh my God. Why does he have such long arms?
He's a slap bracelet.
Oh,
that's cute.
That's another thing that people do with their furry characters is they get little plushies made. And little like that one.
Give me 1 second too.
Like the one that Larissa's holding up. That is so cute. Oh, and Sarah has one too. Little wolf.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
One of the artists that Lori reached out to get permission for using their fursuit for a tarot card actually made this little guy for me, and he's actually held together with buttons, so he's posable. And of course, it's quite literally a carbon copy of my fursona.
Oh,
and
that's
they
cute.
got it down pat. And I mean, it is the cutest thing ever. So you can get anything done with your fursona. It's crazy.
Yeah, people get a big thing in the furry community is getting, I don't have them handy, unfortunately, but are big name badges featuring your character. And I've seen some really cool ones that are actually couples or best friend badges, where basically it's two badges that fit together as one badge, but each badge is a badge for each individual person. So you can do a badge for 2 or 3 or 4 people that are 4 separate badges that form together into one image. And that's really, really cool. It's a really sweet way to, oh, Bear.
Yeah.
This is my favorite.
Oh, he looks so plushy.
This is my favorite.
Oh, he looks so
It's actually
cute.
come from Canada, actually.
Oh, that's
Really?
awesome.
My friend got it me. Yeah.
Where'd they get it from?
I don't know. I assume it's somewhere local to it. I'm not sure.
Well,
But it's Chilliwack anyway, so.
Oh, Chilliwack,
Right on
BC.
BC.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, basically you can do, I mean, so for, like I say, for a Worldcon, I could see for local furry community, getting involved in a lot of different ways. Maybe, I mean, at the very least, I would hope that maybe somebody would hold a, introduction to furry panel, where maybe people who are curious can come and, talk about it, and say, hey, really, what is this all about? And have people explain it. Because I think there is unfortunately a lot of misconception about what the furry community is about. And there's a lot of opportunity to do outreach.
If I may.
Yep.
So recently, I frequent Brandon a lot, Manitoba. And we actually recently had a new con that came to Brandon called BrandCon. Now, don't get me wrong, it has nothing to do with brand cereal. So what BrandCon was a Comic Con that they brought in. And I actually, us as a community, we actually reached out to BrandCon and we applied for a table. And I mean, it was mostly comic books and like your usual nerdy stuff that you would see at a regular Comic Con. And essentially we had set up a table. I brought in a laptop and I reached out to the entire community for Manitoba, from Sask, I mean, Canada-wide, and just said, hey, send me some artwork and I'm going to put it on a slideshow. And then we had some heads there and people would come up and they'd be able to touch it. And I was wearing my, my full suit, but without the head, to just show how sweaty you get in those suits. So I was, and it's, when you're standing in a fursuit without the head, I mean, it's already hot as it is with the head, but even off for 8 hours. And this was over 2 days. I mean, I went through so many t-shirts, so many bars of deodorant, so much water. And all we did was we just sat there and we showcased the community. We answered questions. I mean, I was in the CFB Shiloh newspaper once. When the base found out I was a furry, I got asked to do an interview and they're like, hey, why do you do this? And I actually have an article. I don't have it on me, unfortunately, but it was great. And that actually turned into the base inviting me in for the kids events. So, doing, and it's great. And that actually led to me fursuiting for the 3-div army as Juno. So if anyone's been to an army event and you see the big white polar bear named Juno, us service members actually play that bear and we go out and we have fun with it. And I actually got approached by the base like, hey, you already do this. So, these little events that we hold up, even if it's just a small presence, and even if people don't like us, I don't care, because there's still going to be people like, what was it? One of the military spouses who I ended up working with part-time at a part-time job because I'm releasing, so I'm getting used to working with civilians again. My coworker comes up to me. She goes, hey, you look really familiar. And I'm like, oh, hey, like, what's up? She goes, does the name Toasty ring a bell to you? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. And she goes, oh, my God, like, I don't know if you remember, but my daughter was there and she tried on your paws and they came down to her shoulders and we put a head on her. Normally we won't put heads on folks because of hygiene reasons, because you are sweating in it, but we clean our suits fairly regularly. And so we were like, okay, you know what, just this once. And it was the cutest thing ever. You see this 6-year-old little girl, she's about 3-4 feet tall with this giant head on and these paws that come down to her shoulders. And it's the cutest thing. And that all happened because of a small presence at a Comic-Con. We joined the dance competition. I mean, again, we had some people that had negative feedback towards us, but it's like, you know what? We just carry on. We're just here to show you who we are, to tell you what we do. You're going to have misconceptions. Everyone has misconceptions. You can't get rid of misconceptions 100%. You're still going to have the naysayers who are like, no, this is gross. But when you educate someone, it's just a good feeling. Like, yes, okay, every fandom has people that do weird things. But the majority of us, we just want to share the love. We want to show what we do. We want to have fun. And it's a hobby. For me, it's a hobby. Or for some, like you said earlier, Lori, it's a second skin for some. I have social anxiety. Yes, I'm in the military. You'd think, okay, social anxiety, but you're in the military. No. I can't stand being in large groups of people. When I put my fursuits on, I will run headfirst into a crowd of 1,000 people. I don't care, because they're not seeing me. They're not seeing Justin. They're seeing Toasty, and they love Toasty. They love Sierra. They love Larissa. I can't remember what your fursona name is, but they don't see the person in the suit. They see Candy. So they don't see Larissa. They see Candy. They don't see Mike. They see Munchkin. So it's like wearing a second skin. And it's almost liberating to be able to say, you know what, while I'm Toasty, I don't pay bills. I don't report to anyone. I don't own a house. I don't own a car. I'm just a big cat that runs around and throws a plush avocado at people. And that presence is great. And lets people
squeak the end of his tail.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I was on the base the one day, and this girl, she was like 12 years old. She came up to me. She goes, I recognize you. You're Toasty. And I'm like, oh, hey. She goes, can I show you a picture? And I'm like, sure. And she pulls up this iPhone. I know, a 12-year-old with an iPhone. It was really weird. And she showed me a head that she made out of foam and scraps and stuff. And she said to me, you inspired me to do this. Now, I don't make fursuits, but the fact that they came in, they got the chance to meet the furries. Another person said, hey, I'm a furry too, but I was afraid to say anything to my parents. But my parents were there with me. And after we met you guys at BrandCon,
we could talk about it.
I talked to my parents about it, and there was one lady who's I can't remember their child. I can't remember their identity, but I know that they transitioned, and that lady came up and spoke to us about their child and said, thank you so much for being so kind and welcoming. And I actually helped my child make their fursuit. They go, hey mom, can you hold these two pieces together? And it's great to see the parents getting involved. Yes, okay, you might think it's weird at first, but if it's get to know us. That's what I like to tell people. Get to know us. Like, people might know me from previous bases and go, that guy sucks. But people who actually come up and talk to me go, hey, you're actually a really positive, really nice person. And that's what that presence does, is it helps people realize you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be scared to tell anyone that you're a furry. And you have a community that you can reach out to. And furries have been some of the nicest people, especially when it comes to, if you're having a bad day, you're having an anxious day. Can't recall the amount of times where I'm pretty sure Michelle actually reached out to me once, hey, how are you doing? I've had so many people that I've never met in the flesh, that I've only met online, who have reached out to me. Hey, I noticed your posting on Facebook seems a bit off. What's up? Very supporting community. So
I think part of that is because a lot of people in the furry community do deal with anxiety and depression and other issues, and so they understand.
Yeah.
They really do. And I personally hope that when Winnipeg wins the Worldcon bid, I'm going to be really positive and really upbeat. I would love to see the Manitoba and Saskatchewan and Ontario furry communities, come join us, be in the hallways, be in the programming rooms, be free to be who they are at the event. Because I think, to me anyway, and maybe Terry can put in on this too, and Janny as well, to me, a Worldcon should be inclusive.
Encompasses.
And I think that including the furry community would, for me, seem to be part of that. Because as you can see, there's quite a bit of activity here in Manitoba, and I know there's a lot of activity in Ontario and Saskatchewan, which would be the next nearest people on either side of us for Sarah's benefit. They're the provinces on either side. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of opportunity there. I really do. And again, I'd love to see a costuming panel where maybe, the furries held bake sales, to raise money, and then they can get the materials and then, have a little, let's make some paws or some tails kind of thing. Because, I mean, Michelle and Toasty and Larissa, you could speak to this more. Can you make paws and tails with just a hot glue gun and some fabric?
I'd say so. I mean,
Yeah,
what was
definitely.
Look at our FurCon at Wild Prairie FurCon. They have that like they give a couple of people some materials and stuff, and they're like, okay, you've got 15, 20 minutes to make a tail or make paws. And I mean,
it's a contest.
Yeah,
Go.
and and it's great. And then when we're done that contest, we auction off those handmade things, and people jump on them because they're like, you can get a handmade tail that was made in 20 minutes for $10 if you're lucky. And all that money goes to our charity that we choose, which is usually Craig Street's Cats. And a lot of furry conventions, and I'm sorry to jump off the track here, we don't hold these cons for profits. We hold these cons and we donate. And again, I don't know 100%. I'm security for the con, so I don't really see the back end of it. But a lot of money that we raise goes to Craig Street Cats to help them find these, cats that are out on the streets, get them fixed, get them some food, get them shelter. We base a lot of our charities towards animal-related charities because, I mean, we're just giant animals.
Yeah, I mean, well, to give you an example, Anthrocon, which I believe is the largest North American convention, had something like 10,000 people last year, and they raised over $50,000 for a trained parrot charity. Yeah. I have not yet come across a FurCon of any size that does not have an animal charity that they are attached to. This might be something to think of, Janny and Terry and stuff, is maybe if the Worldcon does not have a charity associated with it, that all the monies are going to, maybe allow the furries to do a small charity event at the convention where they can raise some money for maybe Craig Street Cats or some other animal charity that would benefit from that.
From a logistical point of view, yes, that would probably be possible. The convention itself has some rules governing what will happen to any monies that are created from it, but that's definitely something that we can talk about.
Okay. And that would be something then that the local furry community could come to you to talk about at some point.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've had other charities in the past. For example, like the Robert Heinlein Blood Donation Drive, which is a very popular thing.
And is also at San Diego Comic-Con. I know because I donated.
Yeah, because the Heinlein Society does really try to have that at very large conventions. So,
but that is not in any way competing with the idea of an animal charity. It's a whole
no.
It's a whole different animal.
I'm not saying anything about competition. I'm just saying raising for charities is not uncommon. That's my point.
Yeah. So that might be something that the local furry community, and it doesn't have to be Craig Street Cats. It could, for example, be the Cat Cafe here in Winnipeg, which does such excellent work with rescued cats, and is a no-kill shelter, which I really appreciate. Now, where was I going with this?
Talking about arts and crafts and the ability to make stuff out of basic materials.
Oh heavens, I don't remember. Well, one thing I was going to say is that the local furry community has just been super for my Oracle deck about giving me permission to use their images and stuff. It's like, Toasty has been central in helping me to connect with some of these folks. And Sierra has been very good about it as well. It's a labor of love, and it is going to be a moneymaker, and some of that money is going to go back to Wild Prairie FurCon, believe me. But it's, again, you can do almost anything within the furry community. It's really weird. I found a furry tarot deck. I have never found a furry oracle deck. I think that I might be doing the first one, or at least the first one that might be finished. So, because as we all know, people start tarot and oracle decks and they don't always finish them because 50 cards is a marathon, and 72 cards for a tarot deck is even more of a marathon. But yeah, it's you can find the furries expressing their creativity in so many different ways. Again, dance is a big one. Anthrocon has a huge dance competition. And that might also be something Worldcon might want to look at if they get a big enough furry response, is a furry dance competition or a dance off. The floor wars at Anthrocon are amazing. Floor wars are basically where, like, a dance competition is just one dancer gets up on stage or a pair of dancers gets up and they do a routine. Floor wars are where two dancers face off against each other. And it's interesting to note, this kind of facing off style of dancing has been around since at least the 1300s. There are records of people in the 1300s, especially the young people, because people in the churches administrations complained about this a lot. The younger people would get together in the churchyards because those were the big public spaces, and they would have dance-offs to kind of, show off their dancing skills against each other. So this is a very old tradition, and it's very much embedded in furry culture as well. And I think that might be a really fun spectator activity, as well as a participatory activity at a Worldcon would be something like that. Because Anthrocon has, and it doesn't have to just be confined to furries, because the Anthrocon 2019 Floor Wars, their dance-off, had a furry and a non-furry division. Fursuit and non-fursuit. So we could even have a dance competition which has a fursuit division and a non-fursuit division. So people who are not furries can go, hey, I can do this too, and it's so much fun.
Dancing in fursuit is just so crazy. I mean, what was it, last Wild Prairie in 2019? I mean, we had the dance competition, and I went up and did the YMCA, and I mean, I was just absolutely dying by the end of it. But the laughter, the cheering, the clapping, people enjoying themselves, the kids, the parents, to see these giant fluffy creatures up on a stage dancing and just having a good time. And I mean, I don't have to go up onto a stage and sweat my butt off in order to make people happy, but I'm going to do it anyways, because why not? It's part of the community. It's part of
it's part of the culture.
Positive. Yeah, it's having fun. It's letting loose, being yourself, and not caring what other people think. Like, I don't care if you don't like me dancing in a fursuit. That's fine. That's your thing. This is my thing.
But what I have noticed is that the furry community is very big on consent.
Yes.
For example, Onyx Angel, one of the local Brandon fursuit makers, also sells these metal tags, which have a paw on them with a red circle, a yellow circle, or a green circle. And the green circle one has hugs allowed on it. The yellow one has ask for hugs, and the red one has a big, line across it and says no hugs.
Yeah.
So basically that is the simple way to, for people to tell, I am free to be approached. And of course, in the age of COVID and post-COVID, that takes on a whole new meaning, yes, I'm willing to be approached, or no, please, respect social distancing for me.
And it also comes down to, as well, as you don't know who's in the suit, because a lot of the suits, the way they are shaped, if you try to give someone belly pats, you may be touching them inappropriately. So you got to be careful with that. Or in my case, I have a back injury, and I don't like people jumping onto me. A lot of people will get really excited. If you're known in the community, it's like, oh my God, it's you. And they run over and jump onto you. And you gotta be careful with that, because I mean, I've got a back injury and I don't want to, hurt even more. Or even that person maybe have been in suit for an hour and a half, and they're trying to leave to get out of that suit before they get heat exhaustion. So and your vision is very narrow, but generally, if you're in a fursuit that has limited vision, you have what's called a handler. That person makes sure no one's grabbing your fursuit parts, no one's touching you, no one's, people are asking permission. Or like when I'm in suit, I usually have a buddy of mine his name is Zeno. He'll usually go with me when I'm in fursuit, and he'll say, like when I went to the last base event, Toast, you got a child approaching on your 6. You got a child coming up on your right. Hey, Toast, this parent would like you to hold their child. Are you okay with that? Because, I don't want to just turn and then all of a sudden I'm knocking some kid over. That would be terrible, right? So the consent thing is a huge thing in the furry community. And speaking from the security point from the convention myself, I have zero tolerance for that. Like, if you're going to run up to someone, you can't do that. You just can't. So we are very, very strict on our harassment, touching policy, anything, and boundaries. And, we deal with it as it comes. It's usually not a big issue. It's a lot of times it's just people getting really excited to see someone. Like, I know I really love Sierra's suit. And, there's something stopping you from just running up and being like, oh my God, it's so great to see my favorite lion again. And then you got to remember, okay, yes, but I'm much taller than her.
A very small 5 foot tall girl in not a very big suit.
Exactly. And I mean, I have a picture of me standing next to Sierra from our first Wild Prairie FurCon, and I'm towering over her. And the last thing I want to do is crush her, or hurt her, or maybe she has a bad ankle. I don't want to hurt the person in the suit. So it's always that consent. Hey, can I hug you? Sure. Can we take a picture? Sure. you know, so it's great.
And again, most people in the fandom, unless they have a reason like Toasty, you know, for being, you know, the bad back, most people are very, at least pre-COVID, are very accepting of that kind of thing. You know, if you ask, may I have a hug? May I take a picture with you? Most of them are like, sure, you know, that's fine. Larissa, I don't know if you've been involved in the Maid Cafe. I wanted to ask Sierra to tell us a little bit about the Maid Cafe. Which is a big event at a lot of, apparently is a big event at a lot of a lot of FurCons, from what I hear.
Actually, I think that would be more of a Toasty's domain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's just that I don't have any shots of Toasty in a maid's outfit. I do have pictures of you in a maid's outfit. I'm looking very cute. I'm looking so cute.
I am like the token maid cafe looking furry, but Toasty is actually the one that is a bit more knowledgeable about that.
Larissa, do you take part in the Maid Cafe?
No, I've always wanted to go to a maid cafe, but I never really had the chance.
It's a lot of fun. I was to the one in 2018, and it was amazing. Toasty, what can you tell us about the Maid Cafe?
Yeah, so essentially the Maid Cafe it's a all ages event. And what you do is you so the last one I actually ran because the original runner of the Maid's Cafe wasn't available. So essentially what it is the hotel provides us with coffee, tea, and little snacks. And what you do is you sit down at a table, and someone in a fursuit or not in a fursuit who's dressed up like a maid. So I was wearing an apron, a frilly apron, and a little hat, you know, and we go around and we, you know, hey, what would you like? Oh, I'll take a coffee and a snack cake. And then, you know, you'd go, you'd have someone preparing the drinks. And there's one fur that was actually in the Maid's Cafe who had these big paws. And what we would do is Monstro. And what we would do is, so Monstro's paws were huge, like 2 times the size of my paws. And what we do is we just take the cup and we'd put it in their paw. And then they would very carefully walk to the table and put it down. And you'd enjoy your snack. There'd be paper on the tables for you to draw. So I actually have
and crayons and stuff.
Yeah. Sierra's drawing that she did at I think it was the first Maid's Cafe. I actually have that cut out and pinned to my wall. Because I like I like to collect the art because it's good memories. But and then once you're done having your snack, you can leave a tip. You don't have to, and you leave, and it's just essentially a free cafe, and all the money that we raise goes towards Craig Street Cats. So by the time it was done, I think last year we raised something around $85 or $100. And I mean, it's just coming in, sitting down with your friends, having a drink, having a chat, taking photos. And it was fun. It's really fun. I mean, a lot of people don't like the idea of dressing up in a maid's outfit. Me, I just took it and ran with it because it's like, you know what? I'm a weird person. I'm going to dress up like a maid. I'm going to serve you some coffee, some tea. I'm going to watch you smile, leave, and tell your friends and family that you got served coffee and tea by some dude in an apron. And it was so much fun. And I mean, and it's great because people always come up to us and be like, hey, can I be part of the Maid's Cafe? And I know last year we had a lot of volunteers who came forward. So it was a first come, first serve basis. So, you know, usually it's crazy, amazing attendance. And it's just,
and where does the money go for that?
It goes to Craig Street Cats.
Okay.
Every single penny that we raise goes straight to Craig Street Cats. Now I know Chinona, who is the con chair, isn't here today. She'd probably have more info on that, but yeah, it was great. Absolutely love it. The hotel is amazing. They come in, they collect the dishes for us, they refill our coffee and tea. Some of them are a little weirded out by it. I mean, to be expected. These are regular folks that probably haven't seen this very often, considering that Wild Prairie FurCon was only in its second year at the time and at a brand new hotel, the Radisson, in 2019. And you get a lot of really weird looks from the hotel guests. You'll have people that'll actually stumble into the con by accident and will come in. I had a random person come into the Maid's Cafe and they're like, hey, what's this? It's like, well, sit down. You want a coffee? Sure. And then at the end of it, they're like, well, how much is it? I'm like, it's a donation. And they dropped the $5 bill and then they left. And it's like, cool. You know, so it's
actually,
a little thing.
I've got a picture to share from 2018.
Yeah.
It's just a still image. This was one of the Maid Cafe maids.
Yeah.
And they are an anglerfish, as you can tell because they have the little light on the forehead. And That's a maid cafe. That's one of the maid cafe. I'm looking for the picture of Sierra from the maid cafe in 2019 because it was so adorable. Oh my God, it was so adorable.
Stay safe, Carolina. Have a great night. Thank you so much for coming along.
Yes, thank you, Carolina. Good to see you.
I'm trying to see if I can dig up while we're chatting. I'll see if I can.
Have to leave.
I'll see if I can dig up a photo while you guys are chatting here of the Maids Cafe, because I know I have a bunch of photos, so just bear with me.
Yep. So I'm just looking through. So here's our little canine, 2 diamonds, labeled water key. Oh, I put together so many photos from 2019 and 2018 to make that video, and it's just like Craig Street Cats. No, that's the other one. Okay. Yeah, if Toasty can find one, that's great.
Yeah,
but
so actually, really quickly here. So in 2019, we actually raised $55 in donations in an hour and a half. And in 2019, we raised just over $1,600 for Craig Street Cats. And I know the first con we did in 2018, we raised just enough money to keep them operational for 24 hours. Now, I know that might not seem like a lot of cash to some people, but for a first-time con with a very low attendance, we did an amazing job. But I just need to find the actual pictures.
Yep. I'm just looking and looking and looking. Oh man, this sucks. I have so many photos. That's the problem. you take a lot of photos at a fur con. You really, really do. Anyway, I can't find it, but trust me, the one I have of Sierra is just, it will melt your heart. It's so cute. But yeah, so a maid cafe is another Worldcon possibility if the furry folk would like to run that. And again, as a fundraiser. And it is really nice because you can just go in there, you can just, get away from the convention space for a little while, just sit at a table and relax, maybe, color some art, and then, you can just, leave a tip and away you go. And it's great. So
am I able to drag and drop files into the chat?
You should be able to.
Okay, I found 2.
I just dropped a photo in there, actually, folks. So we were talking about those tags earlier. This is just an example of a Ask Hugs tag, and that's kind of what you'll see on a lot of furries is just that little tag, and yeah, just make sure you respect it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just downloading the. Okay, click to open. Gotcha. I wonder what it'll open, and there we go.
Oh, there we go. Yep, there's.
Okay, I can share that to the chat. Just let me grab that. It is so. Oh my God, so adorable.
This is my original head before I did the update.
I mean, isn't that cute? Oh
That's
my
adorable.
God. Oh my God, so adorable. They're both so adorable, but that maid outfit is just so darn cute. But yeah, so that's the kind of thing that's the kind of thing you'll see from furries. Very creative, lots of fun.
We try to have fun. You know what? It's a one time where we can actually go somewhere, be ourselves, and know that while we're with our community, no one's gonna bug us, no one's gonna make fun of us. I mean, people can be mean, whatever, got to carry on and move on. But the fact that we have our own kind of place to hang out, be ourselves. I mean, we had City News come over and interview us all. And, it was great to be able to say, hey, this is what we do. This is who we are. This is why we do it. For example, now this photo I just sent is my friend Zergle, who is oh my God, Sergle. A Sergle essentially looks kind of like a dinosaur with a wedge, looks like a cheese wedge. And she got, interviewed by City News. I got interviewed by City News, a whole bunch of us. And it's so great to see that kind of thing where the media comes in too to say, hey, look at these folks being animals. This is so cool. Wow, check it out. It's awesome.
It is. And there's so much pride in the furry community too. I mean, I know of some people in the furry community who go to pride marches in furry garb because that is the only way they feel they can safely express themselves.
Yeah.
Right? Is they're not showing their actual faces, but they are expressing their gay pride. They're with their partner. you know, who might also be in furry garb, you know, but they're able to join the Pride event and to feel secure.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah. I wanted to show one more. I want to show a quick furry music video. And then what we're going to do is we're going, Jani and Terry, if this sounds good to you, then we're going to jump on to talking a bit about the Winnipeg in 23 contest that is going to be held this coming week. Does that sound good?
Sure. Yeah,
You okay with that, Jani?
Oh yeah, we're good.
Okay, so I'm going to share screen. And share. This is one of my favorite furry music videos of all time because to me, it kind of embodies what the furry community is about. And the lyrics are so positive and so powerful. And it's sung by the people who are actually, a funny story about this. They recorded this song the night before they had to evacuate the entire hotel because of some kind of leak of some kind. So everybody who is in this video is operating on 3 hours of sleep or less. And so it's quite impressive in that sense. So is everybody ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
At the end of the day, some you win, some you don't. So I'm glad that I'm here with some friends that I know, always there.
As I was saying, I think it might be a great thing for local furries to maybe do something like this for the Worldcon. Either maybe in advance of the Worldcon as like kind of, you know, a promotional thing, or at the Worldcon as an at the Worldcon event. Justin, you're muted, so if you're...
Okay, so just really quickly. So I've actually just shared 2 photos into there. The first one, you're going to see me. That is from BrandCon. And the second one, I have permission to share that photo from the actual parent, because again, that was one of my coworkers, fellow military spouse as well. That's her daughter wearing one of our heads with my paws, and they're enormous. I can't find the Maid Cafe photo. I can't.
Oh my goodness, that is so cute.
So yeah, so that was the one time that we had made an exception to say, okay, yeah, you can definitely try that head on. And
are you saying that we have permission to share? Do we have permission to share that photo here in the chat?
I would say let's just keep it in the chat to ourselves so we can see. But yeah, just a little girl, and it was the cutest thing ever. She was
It's really cute.
She told her mom afterwards, she goes, I really want to see them again. And then shortly after COVID hit, and of course, the first photo I sent, you could see in the background, we had a banner made by a local company for about $170 with our links to our socials. We have art in the background. We had magnets for sale. We had a slideshow. Actually, if you look at the computer, that's me and Sierra there, and you can tell I tower a whole foot above her in my fursuit. So, you know, this is the stuff we do. We don't care if we're going to an event to just sit there and answer questions, or if we're going there to actually interact with people. It's just so much fun to have a presence in the community to say, hey, we're the furries, and we're here to answer your questions. And it's
May
great.
I share the photo of you in the Westman Furs
Please do.
booth?
Yes, of course.
Thank you.
100%.
Very well. I will. Thank you so much, Toasty. Just let me grab that photo. It's a great photo.
So that was that picture was just towards the end, and I was absolutely dying in my suit there. As you can tell by the giant smile, I was in pain. No, I was absolutely dying in that suit. I had drenched through all of my layers underneath, and it was just an amazing event. We walked around, we said hi to people. We had a couple of weird glances, but you can actually see in the box below too, there's another head with a little nose poking out. That belongs to my buddy Zeno. He's a silverback jackal, blackback jackal.
Yeah.
And of course, the pink Dutchie, that's actually
Onyx
Angels. She's the one that made my suit. And my first tail is actually in the background there too. That was actually made as a gift. A fellow Marine in the States who I'm friends with, who found out I was a furry, actually had the paws with the claws made for me. And I mean, it's a great community. It is honestly a great community. I am so happy to be part of it. There's some great people. I mean, we do have our weird folks, of course.
Every fanish community. You know what? It's I think that's actually called Sturgeon's Law, is that 15% of any group are people that other people in the group look at them and kind of go, well, you're a little weird, aren't you?
But we have fun, you know, like we all go to events We all like, what is it? In the around Christmas time, we do potlucks at one gentleman's house. His fur name is Dronin.
Dronin, yep.
And yeah, we show up to his place. Everyone brings food. We all pack into this little tiny house in Winnipeg, and we just have fun. You know, some people show up in suits. It's a little cramped, so it can get a little awkward. But we show up. We have fun.
I think I have Dronin's permission to share this. Just trying to see if I have it. There it is. I'll just open it up very, very quickly. I did actually a piece of art for Dronin for him and his, because he doesn't actually have a fursona, but he does very strongly identify with wolves. So I did this piece of art for him as a Yule gift. Oh, well, that didn't work very well now, did it? Okay, let me open it up in preview. That'll do it. And then we'll share that screen. Stop share. Restart the share. There we go. That should do it. And there's the piece that I did for him.
That's beautiful.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah,
lovely.
Yeah, obviously this is pre-framing and stuff, but yeah, so, and again, this, you know, kind of shows, you know, the kind of stuff you could do in the furry community, you know, just the, you know, people are free to be creative in whatever way they feel, you know, called to be creative. So, does anyone else from the furry community have anything to add?
Really?
No? Well, in that case, I hope you guys will stick around to hear about the contest we have coming up for the Winnipeg in 23 bid. It's going to be pretty awesome. Janny or Terry, could you tell us about the contest?
It'll be me because Terry knows nothing. In other words, this is a surprise for him too.
So in other words, the standard con chair position.
Yes.
What?
Yep. Plausible deniability.
Exactly. No, because being informed that Winnipeg is the Slurpee capital of Canada.
Yep.
We decided to have a photo contest, and it's all Sean's fault, actually, because he sent us the photo of him sipping a Slurpee while showing the temperature on his iPhone. And I believe it was something like 39 negative. Whether that Celsius, no, Fahrenheit. That's got to be in Fahrenheit.
No, that sounds like Celsius to me.
It could be Celsius.
Celsius.
Yeah.
Yep. So we figured we would have a applied beverage contest of a semi-frozen, because Slurpee is trademarked, semi-frozen beverage of your choice in the most extreme environmental circumstances that you can safely manage. And what we would like you to do is to send, we'll have a blog post up, and in the comments you can link to your image, so that way it's not restricted to the blog post. That's just one of the venues. You could do it through Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, but send us an image of you in the most, a frozen beverage, refreshing beverage of your choice, in the most extreme environment that you can safely manage.
You know, now I'm thinking about Sierra or Candy or Toasty in their suits, in the middle of the Winnipeg summer, showing the temperature, holding up like an ice drink. You know,
but wouldn't that be a good thing for them? Because I understand those suits get really hot.
Well, that's just it. What you'd actually need is like a little temperature sensor that's inserted into the neck, and then you like have the little device, and you're showing what the temperature inside the suit is.
Oh no!
Oh, that would be perfect. Actually, one of those turkey thermometers that's on a string
and
show people how hot you get.
That's exactly it.
Really quickly, sorry if I can interject. Earlier, I mentioned an article that I was in. I just shared that to the chat. So if y'all want to take a look at it, that was the article I did with CFB Shiloh Stag.
Awesome.
But that Slurpee thing sounds amazing. I could just see myself making a giant frozen beverage of my choice drink prop with just like fake ice in it and running around.
I have a popsicle prop. It squeaks.
Squeaks?
Yeah, it's a squeaky toy.
So basically anybody who has like a turkey thermometer thing, just put it down inside the neck of your suit, show the temperature, and show yourself holding the drink. Have someone take a photo.
Hot in here.
Just to take off all your suits. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I think it's, and you say, Janny, that it's starting officially on Thursday the 15th, right?
Yes,
Of this month.
because we tried to keep the dates easy to remember. We don't want to do odd dates where they're just like, when, what?
But how long
Middle
does
of
it
the
run
month.
for?
Ugh.
How long
I would
does it
say,
run for?
unless somebody thinks that unless I'm advised that this is too long, I'm projecting until end of August, just to give people plenty of time to set up, take the photo, and send it in.
Sounds good to me.
And the prize will be some Winnipeg and 23 swag.
Oh, that's awesome.
Awesome. I was in on the last Zoom swag discussion, and some of I won't reveal anything, but some of the swag is pretty great. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. We
Yep.
certainly hope so. Please send in your photos.
Now, you say you can post it to Twitter, right? Like, but what's the hashtag?
Our Twitter account is #Winnipeg. Oh, give me 1 second here. I've got it.
I'm just wondering how people will tag it on Facebook and Twitter and so on, so that you guys will see it.
We'll start the thread and then.
So you'll post to the blog.
Yeah,
Winnipeg in
we'll
23?
post to the thread.
I thought it's not Winnipeg in 2023.
Winnipeg
I
in
believe
23, I
it's-
think. Is that it right there?
That's it. Winnipeg in 23. That's it.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna hit that follow button.
There you go. Yay!
I don't have a Twitter.
It doesn't have to be through Twitter. We do have a website. And once we publish the blog post, you can comment on it.
With the photo.
Yeah, with a
Okay.
link to the photo.
Oh, a
That's
link to
fine.
the photo. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, you could post to Facebook and then just link to the in a comment on the
Yeah.
blog.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not a matter of using a hashtag in this case. It's just a matter of like sending us a comment with the link.
Yeah, we're trying to make it as easy and as open as possible without, inviting the analogs to the Zoom bombing.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is there anything else that the Winnipeg and 23 folks have to add?
I think that's it for that. But I do have a question for the furries. And this may or may not be a thing. I totally acknowledge that. So how did you guys sort of view Zootopia?
Okay, if I was to rank my movies in my top movie is definitely Zootopia. It is just so adorable. I love that movie. It's great. It's just it's so cute. I love it.
Yeah,
So no controversy of incorrectly portraying animals.
Oh, definitely not.
Oh no,
I'd say.
not at all.
Yeah. No, that
Larissa,
was well done.
Larissa, you were about to say something about Zootopia?
I would probably give the movie like a 9 out of 10 because I just really liked the character, especially the fox, Nick.
I've seen Zootopia. If I had to rank it among my furry or anthropomorphic movies, I'd probably rank it about number 3. My second one would be The Fantastic Adventures of Unico. And my first one would be, of course, Robin Hood from Walt Disney Studios.
Yes.
Yeah, I say my first one would be the anime A Whisker Away. It's about this girl that turns into a cat.
Mm. How about you, Sierra?
Personally, I really liked the movie, both for from an artist's perspective, as well as from an artist's perspective, as well as sorry, my brain is currently not working very well. I'm
It's
very
really
warm.
hot out. It's really hot out.
It's really hot. The AC just barely misses my room. But yes, as an artist, I really appreciate the movie. Just all of the little details that they put in, just really pull it all together. I am also very fond of how they handled the story, as well as the obvious problems that the movie had. I think that it's a very great movie, and I'd probably rate it like an 8 out of 10 if I were to do so. Yeah, it's an all-around good movie.
Yep. Was that your question, Jenny?
Oh yeah, no, that was my question. I mean, the other side question to that is, what are some of your favorite movies in the furry related world?
Oh, Robin Hood, Disney.
I personally just kind of like Zootopia and other like animalistic shows on Netflix, like Beastars, Brand New Animal. I mean, anything that has animals that walk on 2 feet, speak English, it's just great. I mean, some of the stories.
Have you guys seen that new? Go ahead. Sorry.
I like Lion King, Bolt, and Balto.
Have you guys seen that new dating show where they put animal heads on people?
No, but I've heard
I won't go near it.
I'm a little afraid of it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. I'm a little afraid of it too, but my husband has seen a couple of episodes and he's not a furry at all, but he said it is very furry friendly.
Yeah.
It's intriguing, that's for sure. But like I don't know if I'm gonna actually take that step into watching anything other than the really funny looking previews.
Yeah. But I mean, isn't that really furry stepping into the mainstream? In like a huge way?
I mean, yes and no. I think the whole purpose of that was just to kind of not fall in love with someone how they look, but more or less their personality and how they kind of, how they act as a person. Because I mean, a lot of our communications nowadays are social media. Like for example, I knew Michelle online for the longest time, and I thought Michelle was a very nice person talking to her online, and then when I met her in person,
it
was, it's.
I remember it vividly. You were on stage, and then you were suddenly not on stage, and you interrupted the entire speech going on to come and hug me.
Oh my goodness, the tall versus small thing happening. Oh man, I'm not so sure about this dating show with animal heads because what I want to know, that what I'm curious about is, does having the heads on change their perception of themselves or change how they act, right? Do in a sense, do they kind of develop a proto-fursona thing happening? That's what
they get to choose their own heads?
Yeah, I think so.
I heard they don't, but I'm not sure. But the point, I think it's a total surprise to them. Basically, that's what my husband said, is basically they sit down in the makeup chair, the makeup artist does their magic, and then they're presented with a mirror. And like that.
I thought it was like a Masked Singer kind of deal where they get to choose like their animal or their idea.
It's possible.
I'm not sure.
Does anyone remember the name of the show?
Sexy Beasts.
Sexy Beasts. Well, let me just call up Sexy Beasts. Do they choose the makeup? Google, please do not fail me now. All prosthetic makeup. Trying to look at the single personal.
I'm not gonna lie though, the makeup and the makeup and costume designers on that show, they're doing a great job. It's just a little terrifying in the end, but like that amount of skill to do like that kind of makeup, that takes a lot.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything at all in any of these links that basically says, do they get to choose? Oh, there is, however, on rollingstone.com, Netflix Sexy Beast, did furries influence the show?
There we go.
And when Rolling Stone says it, it must be true. Oh, right. Terry and Jani, did you guys have anything else to add? Because we're coming up on 3:00, so.
No, we don't. But if the furries have any questions for us and how our proposed Worldcon in Winnipeg would work, where we're totally open to taking them. And it doesn't have to be just the furries, because I know that Covert is here. He's the one put in the link for the water cooling system, which looks really cool. I just go, how heavy is that thing? But, anybody who has questions for us, we'd love to answer them.
Not really a question.
Yeah. I have a question.
Go ahead.
If this actually were to become a big event, how much would it cost to get in?
It depends on point of entry, actually. That's a very good question, because the cheapest way of doing this would be to vote in site selection, because if you vote in site selection, you automatically have a supporting membership, and then you can decide later on whether or not you want to upgrade to attending membership. Worldcon has basically 2 levels of membership, supporting and attending. Supporting is for people who are interested but who can't physically be there. Attending memberships are for people who will actually physically be present at the convention. And usually, should we win, the base entry will be roughly $200 total. Terry, is that roughly the ballpark we're looking at?
US, yeah.
Yeah, because there are certain rules of what price it is, how much we can increase it, so on and so forth. Now, keep in mind, Worldcon is a 5-day event. So you're not going just for a day or the weekend after work.
It's not repeating.
Yeah, it's non-repeating, because every Worldcon is separate and different.
No, not every day is there. No events repeat on it.
It's not like, for example, Dragon Con, where they basically have the same panels as they walk people through, because people all want to see the big names.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have the largest theater reserved for them. And so, they get questions and answers, and they do not the same, not an exact replica, but similar program.
Yeah.
From day to day. We don't do that.
And that price is all inclusive, aside from possibly some material fees, or if you go to a coffee or tea or beer event, you'll have to pay for your own tea or coffee or beer.
Yeah, and of course, if you go to a fundraising event, you would donate to the fundraising.
Right.
Yeah.
But you can basically pay your $200, go into a Worldcon, and not have to pay anything else for the rest of that 5-day event.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To the convention.
To the convention.
If we're making life more comfortable for you, that's up to you and your wallet.
Yeah.
Yep. No, that's just the attending for the convention. If you want to vote for Winnipeg for the Worldcon City, what you need to do is you need to get a supporting membership to DISCON 3, which is the current World Science Fiction Convention, and you also have to pay an additional $50 fee, which gets you a supporting membership in whichever city wins the 2023 bid, whether it's Winnipeg or Memphis, Tennessee, or Chengdu, China. So for that $100 buys you a lot. It buys you the site selection voting. It buys you the right to vote in the Hugos, I believe.
Yes, it does.
The Hugo finalists for the next year. And there's a couple of other things that come with it, but that $100 actually gets you a lot, including the ability to vote for Winnipeg in 2023.
Right, and you vote for the Hugos of that particular year. Sorry, just to clarify, because you said next year, and it's like, no, you can nominate for next year, but you cannot necessarily vote for next year.
Oh, right, of course,
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. And we do intend to have an installment plan if you can't afford to do it in one shot.
Yeah.
But what will happen is if you pay the fee this year to vote for Winnipeg in the site selection in December to DISCON, then that will, if Winnipeg wins, you will automatically have supporting membership for the Winnipeg convention, which you will just then have to upgrade to attending.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
The other thing to mention is that typically both classes of memberships are transferable. Not necessarily the rights, because for example, if you've exercised your right to vote for the Hugo Awards, but you want to transfer your supporting membership to somebody else, they themselves cannot vote.
Yeah, because you only get that vote per membership, one, and if it's used up, it's used up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But there is always a small market in particularly for attending memberships for transference because, unfortunately, life happens.
Yep. So basically, yeah, there is a market where people are going, hey, I suddenly can't attend. I'm willing to let my attending membership go to someone else. And then you can get a membership that way too.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And those are actually some ways where if you find out at the last minute that you can attend, that's a way, because what happens is there are price increases because of the way that funding works, because Worldcons are effectively one-offs. So it's to our interest to build a financial base early. That's why the earlier memberships are a little less than the later memberships, because as we get further and further into closer and closer to the convention, certain budgetary decisions have to be made.
Also, what your attending membership gets you, and I believe please correct me, Terry and Jenny, but I believe supporting membership gets you this as well, is when you become a member of the World Science Fiction Convention, you also become a member of WSFS for that year.
Correct.
Yeah.
And WSFS is the World Science Fiction Society.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Because basically all attendees of Worldcon are for that year members of WSFS.
Yes.
Once that convention is over, your membership, you are no longer a member of WSFS unless you pay for the next year, and then you become a member of WSFS again. Basically, WSFS is Worldcon, Worldcon is WSFS.
Correct.
Yep. So, and again, that gets you privileges like the Hugo Award stuff and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And fingers crossed, it's not a promise. Totally not a promise. But some years, the creators of works nominated for the Hugos are kind enough to allow us to send out a Hugo packet, which allows you to read access to those works. Yeah. But that is not a commitment.
That's not every year.
That is not every year, and it is totally up to whatever contracts those creators have signed. Because we've had the chat about copyright law.
Well, this year there was a Hugo package, right?
Yes.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
Yes, and sometimes they'll just include an excerpt. Sometimes they'll include the full work. It's really dependent on what rights are at play and what contracts have been made for those rights.
But that is another potential perk.
Yes, potential. Yes,
to having the membership.
Yeah, I think the first Hugo packet was out of anticipation, wasn't it?
The year before, I think, Denver.
Okay. So it started in Denver, but then it kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, that's another possibility.
Yeah.
Any other questions from the furry folks?
Not really a question, but on that cooling thing. So a lot of times too, in order to stay cool, what we'll do is I actually went to Dollarama and they have these cooling gel collars for dogs. And that is probably the best $2 or $3 that I have spent in my life to have an ice pack around my neck. And holy crap, does it make a world of difference. It is amazing. And some of the, we have what's called a headless lounge where you're able to go into, no one can take photos, or you can pop your head off, put it on a drying stand. Actually, Munchkin, who was not able to attend today, generally brings in a bunch of racks with fans built into them, so you can drop your head on it, you can drop your paws. It is great. And the first con, I actually went down with heat exhaustion, and I got into a world of trouble with my fellow furries because they cared about me. Really quickly, going back to the kindness of furries, they took care of me that night. They bathed me down with cool water. They fed me water. They fed me bread because I went down with a medical emergency, and they took such good care of me. So staying cool in those fursuits can be a matter of life or death if you're not careful. So staying cool, definitely one of the biggest things. Every time we have a convention, we hand out those flyers with the little man in the middle where one side's orange and one's red.
Yes.
Heat exhaustion,
heat stroke.
except they've edited it to be a fursuit. So a canine, just blank fursuit, and it goes over the different things. And that's one of the reasons why you have handlers, is just to make sure that you don't collapse and pass away from being too hot in your fursuit. It was 45 degrees in Winnipeg that year. And I did a dumb thing and put my head out in the sun, put it on, and it cooked my head. So don't do that.
Yeah, and I mean,
what temperature?
It was 45. About 45 degrees Celsius in Winnipeg in 2018.
With the humidex.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, okay.
It was a hot one.
It was a really hot one. They were announcing, I think, over the PA, telling people basically, look, if you have fursuit parts in your car, go and get them out now, because they are going to melt.
Yeah, okay.
They're going to melt.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's that really is, to me, I mean, when you're at a convention, I know full well, you can lose track of time and lose track of things like drinking enough water and stuff, and that's what handlers are great for.
Yeah.
Is they're basically your second brain going, you haven't drunk anything in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Over to the headless lounge, we're getting you some water.
Now I want to see this rack of heads. Now that you've put that in my imagination.
I don't have a picture because, again, we don't really allow pictures in the headless lounge for privacy, and also because some people don't want other people to know who they are in the suit, because there are people that actually own, believe it or not, people that own multiple suits. So we're talking thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in fursuits, or they've made them themselves. And sometimes they like to keep that persona kind of secret. They don't want people to know who's inside. So, but it's just essentially, think of those metal shelf rackings that you can get at Home Depot. And he just takes a box fan and puts it underneath the shelf pointing up. And then you literally just, there's those little boot rack like cones. You put your paw on it and it just sits there. Or you take your head and you just, open up the bottom, and you just place it on top, and you let him sit there with his mouth open, so all the air just comes out of it, right? So
I'm just thinking really more of like heads on poles.
Oh, yeah.
My imagination went.
We've made a couple of jokes about that one there. So you just walk in and just look at all these heads. Oh my goodness.
who pissed off the king? And who is the king? There you go. Exactly. I love the little hearts in his eyes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So adorable.
I need to get them replaced though. Unfortunately, they got hit with water, so they're a little faded.
Oh.
But it's okay. We'll get a new head soon.
Yeah. How much does just a head cost?
That's very dependent from maker to maker and experience to experience.
Okay.
Sometimes they can go for like 200 to 300, and sometimes they can go for like 3,000 to 8,000 just for a head, depending on what you're getting. If you've ever seen one of those really cool protogen heads, I've seen those go for almost 1,500.
Wow.
Like when you get really detailed into it, and you start getting into the more electronic side of fursuit making.
Like some fursuits have LED lights in them.
Yeah, but
which are super cool.
And then there are like protogens and primogens who are like robotic, like robot and animal combined fursuits, where they have
like visors and stuff.
Yeah, where it's like a programmable visor that has emotion, like little emotes that you can switch between, and sometimes you can even talk through it, and there'll be a speaker that alters your voice for you.
Oh.
So
that sounds super cool.
Lots of
actually, it sounds super hot. It actually sounds super hot.
That's why fans are important.
And
those guys, those guys essentially need a fan. Otherwise, the visor will fog up.
Yeah, exactly. I saw there was one at Wild Prairie Furcon 2019 that I saw.
Yes.
That had a beautiful, beautiful black visor with all the lights in it. It was just gorgeous. And I've also seen fursuits like with feathers and stuff like that, where the LEDs are built into the feathers, and it's just they walk into a dark room and it's like a light show. It's just gorgeous. But so any more questions for the bid committee? Nope, doesn't look like it, unless
Welcome back, Toasty.
Okay, so Jenny and Terry, did you have anything that you wanted to leave us with in terms of last thoughts?
I was just kind of curious whether you're still interested in coming along, if you will, or participating. Various people. I understand,
I'm not sure. Can you clarify that question a little bit? I mean, this is to the furries, whether or not they would be interested in volunteering or participating in Worldcon?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay, let's, yeah, okay. Justin, your mic is off. Because we can't hear you.
We can't hear you at all.
I
There
mean,
we
the
go.
Oh,
There we go. Yay.
There we go.
I unplugged my mic. I guess my headset's being weird. I would personally absolutely love to attend it. I mean, any chance that I can get to kind of make an appearance and, kind of spread the word of furries and educate folks, or even just give them a chance to come and talk to us up close. Because a lot of times, like I said, folks will have a bad opinion on something that they've never actually experienced because they hear other people talking. Until you actually come up and realize, hey, this is just another person wearing a costume. It's no different than cosplay. So I would absolutely love to. And if you guys are looking for folks with security backgrounds to help with your con, I would even be interested in helping out with the logistics. Why not?
Oh, we will be talking to you. Trust me, we will be talking to you.
Fantastic.
You just made an error.
Never volunteer for a Worldcon.
Hey, I'm in the military. I'm used to getting, voluntold, and I'm always told that if you volunteer for something, it'll be a good go. If you get voluntold, you're gonna hate your life. So,
Honestly, I'm kind of with Justin here. Pretty much the same. Like, I love any chance that I get to come out and be in suit and help support the community and just spread the word about what we're about.
As opposed to those evil media stereotype portrayals that in some cases I find very clickbaity.
Yeah, a little bit.
How about you, Larissa?
Yeah, I would like to go to Worldcon, but it would take like some crazy saving up and convincing from my parents to take me.
Well, I mean, as Terry mentioned, they are thinking of an installment plan, so you'd be able to do it like little by little.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, just as a heads up, typically the first thing that happens with any surplus made by the convention is reimbursement of our staff for being part of Worldcon, in terms of,
that's neat.
It's not pay, it's just, we will try to reimburse a percentage of your membership, but that's only if we make money.
That's awesome.
Because of the nature of the financing. As I said, every year it's a one-off, so every Worldcon starts not completely from zero, because there's a thing called pass-along funds. I'll skip the details. But
oh God, yes.
But basically, we do start from a very low level, and then we have to build it up. And so our budgeting is extremely conservative.
One of the things that will happen if you pay the $100 US to vote for Winnipeg in the site selection is that $50 US of that, if I understand correctly, will be in a fund which will be passed along to the convention that wins the 2023 site selection.
It will be given to the convention that wins because it's officially for that convention.
Exactly.
And the reason I'm clarifying that is because there's a different thing referred to as pass-along funds that is not that part.
Yeah. So basically, I would strongly encourage, if anybody wants to see Winnipeg get the Worldcon bid, Discon has a payment plan, really seriously consider getting that $100 bid that allows you, or that $100 combination membership that allows you to vote for site selection.
Yes.
Because every vote counts. And it is what's called, what do they call the style of ballot again? Preferential or?
It's a preferential ballot. That means that you rank your choices in the order of your preference. So number one would be, we hope will be Winnipeg. And then you can rank the other choices as you prefer them, and so, there is also the choice to write in but write-ins are more
More for
Don't
joke.
worry. Yeah, more for joke.
And then there's
yeah.
also a there's a no preference and none of the above.
Exactly. So basically, if what happens is if they tally all the number one votes and nobody has a majority at that point, they go to the lowest vote and they tally up those votes again in a second round of bidding.
And you
then
can find
basically-
out way more detail about this in our YouTube video with the interview with Kevin.
Yes,
But in
yes.
Pleasant.
The
Because we
YouTube
spent an
video.
hour talking about this.
But anyway,
Technically,
it's
the first step. Technically, the first step is we eliminate everyone who's invalid to win, like all the write-ins,
oh, okay.
regardless of how many. A rule I'm intimately familiar with because I wrote it way back when. So we count it as they lie, so that the people who want to spend money writing in something that can't win get their fun in the sun, and it's reported, and then we get down to business.
But the thing is, a number two vote can have just as much influence as a number one vote. If nobody wins in the first round, the number two votes can be the decider.
Yes.
It has actually happened, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, not at all unusual if you have more than two candidates.
Yep.
Exactly. So I really, as I say, I strongly encourage people to vote for Winnipeg and help us win the site selection. It's going to, our latest blog post from Janny is a link to a series of videos produced by Tourism Winnipeg for the Worldcon bid. And it's really, really good stuff. I watched a bit of it and it's pretty awesome. So yeah, Tourism Winnipeg is very strongly behind us.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. They like us. Yay. They like us. They like
They
us.
like us, yay! Okay, so anything else from anybody?
And as always, if you think of something else further down the line, or you have questions or comments, we have a contact form. We'll take the input.
And again, if you, as we said before, if you would be able to help get the word out to your fanish community, the furry community, or any other community, please do spread the word about us. Let people know that Winnipeg's in the running and that we are making a very strong case for our city for 2023. We knocked it out of the park in 1994. We are going to do an even better job in 23. Okay, so if nobody has anything else, Janny and Terry, I think we can call this.
Yep. Cool. All right, let me hit the button.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe to this YouTube channel to make sure you don't miss a minute of the excitement that's coming up from the Winnipeg in 23 Bid Committee. For a truly stellar 81st World Science Fiction Convention experience, vote Winnipeg in 2023 for a venue that offers all the big city conveniences combined with the best of hometown hospitality.